Boy, does this music bring back memories of my last run at this game that was filled with so many smiles and so many sorrows. Hey guys, it's Skymer here, and welcome back to another episode of Triangle Strategy, the Golden Route. And in the last episode, we started off at Chapter 3's conviction voting thing, where we decided to shift it up from my last playthrough about a year and a half or 2 years ago. And I wanted to go to Aesfrost this time and not to Hyzant. So I wanted to start off today by going through the encampment as well as being able to showcase the 8 units that are already on our roster. So we're probably going to save Serenoa for last, so we're going to go in backwards order. Let's begin with Anna the Spy. So Anna is a very, very good unit. I feel like I utilized her well in some battles in my previous on-screen run, but she can be a little tough to use sometimes, but she's also one of the most mobile units. With one of the higher jump stats in the game at 4, this allows her to get up to higher terrain much, much quicker. She's very nimble. That's basically like a big piece of her character. But she also has a passive skill called Act Twice. This grants her the ability to only move once, but can take 2 actions. Basically, if she is dual striking with another unit and she's the main attacker, this can be devastating. It essentially doubles the damage that she's able to deal. So even though her weapons usually have low power, she makes up for it in the ability to stab them twice. So that's pretty nice. The other skills are just going to be unlocked as time goes on, so we'll go over them when the time comes, of course. Next up is Frederica, one of my personal favorite characters in this game. I utilized her so much in the last playthrough. She is so good, both as a character, as a person, as a person in battle. She just has it all wrapped up in one big old present wrapped with a beautiful bow. She has the Blessing of Fire as a passive skill, being able to decrease the damage that she takes from other fire mages, but increasing the damage that she takes from ice. There is a certain magic system in this game where fire and ice are opposites. So Frederica deals more damage to ice mages because they have the Blessing of Ice, which is just the opposite of Blessing of Fire, but they're effective against each other. So if Frederica did additional damage to ice mages would do the same to her back. The same with wind and lightning-based magic. They are also opposites. Scorch is a very good beginning skill. It is basically a ranged AoE fire attack that deals damage to a single enemy that you target, as well as all adjacent squares to them. So that's very, very good in certain situations when enemies are grouped and kind of dense together like a tin of sardines. Eridor. Now this unit I really didn't take to the fullest level in my last playthrough. When I was doing it off screen, I found some synergies with Eridor that I really wanted to highlight on this particular route, because Eridor became one of my favorites, actually. He is your tank, one of your higher HP walls in the game. He's one of your units that's going to take on a lot of the front lines, assuming they are not mage spamming you. Provoke is an incredibly good ability. This ability states that you have a chance to infuriate all enemies within a 1 to 2 range around him at a height of -2 and +2. So this allows you that if successful, infuriated enemies A have to target Eridor for attacks. They do not have another choice. And even if Eridor somehow is not in range of that enemy, but they're in range of like 5 other of your allies in the process of getting to Eridor, they just won't attack anyone. This really allows you to shut down mages and healers as well, because it prevents them from using any of their own abilities. So mages can't cast their magic, healers cannot heal. It basically shuts them down. Having a unit that has low magic defense but has the ability to prevent their magic from even going off, that's a way to build a knight, that's for sure. And Sprint is a great skill to use on the first turn of combat with him, if he's not nearby any enemies right out the gate, because it just increases his movement for 3 turns. Another great thing for a low movement unit. He only has 4 move versus like Anna having 5. You want a unit like Eridor to be able to take the front lines. That's hard to do with a unit with low movement, so I feel like that's just incredibly well sophisticated for him. Moving on to Huette. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Huette was one of the characters that it took me the longest to develop to, because I was literally scared of having her die super easily on the battlefield, and I'll explain why. Hawksbane. Increases damage inflicted to you by arrows. Basically, any sort of flying mounted class in this game are weak to arrows. Now, I'm also a really big fan of the Fire Emblem series, and there is a series of classes in the game, like Pegasus Knights and Wyvern Riders in that game, that are significantly weak to archers, units that equip bows. And so usually an arrow strike to one of these units would basically almost instantaneously defeat them. And in this game, the damage is higher, but not usually to an extremely lethal, like immediately lethal thing. So my Fire Emblem brain just kind of went in by default and just went like, oh my gosh, Huette cannot be in range of a single archer. It's going to be the end of her. Not quite. So in this playthrough, I'm really hoping to really accentuate her in a much better light, because in my first playthrough, I think it was just the fact that I was just timid that she was going to die too quickly. So hopefully that's not going to be the case. Blinding Arrow is also a really good skill. It has up to 4 range, similar to Frederica's, where you have a chance to blind them. And blinding them has a really effective ability to just... because magic always hits in this game, so blinding mages usually isn't very efficient. But any sort of physical attacking unit, like pikemen, mercenaries, you know, any sort of classes like that, archers, they all can be blinded, where they have an extremely low chance to hit their the people they're trying to target. Gila, oh my gosh, the unit that I bring to every single battle ever. She is your designated healer. Cure Wounds just grants HP to an ally without the 4 spaces away, and for those in need is a very nice passive skill for a healer. Basically, if she's healing someone that has less than 50% of their current health from max, she will increase the potency of the healing. So it just allows those nearly defeated allies and just restores them even greater. I love her so much as a character. She's such a good person. That's just what I want to say. She's so strong-willed, and yet she is just like, but she also will speak her mind if she absolutely has to. Benedict. Now this unit, I used him quite a lot throughout the periods of the game, and let me tell you, he does really flow the tide of battle, depending on how he's used. Sometimes I feel like I used him to his best of his ability, and other times I think that there was like 5,273 ways that I could have dealt usage of him better. So essentially, he's a very good follow-up attacker. You want him to be somewhat around the front lines. He does have fairly good stats in terms of his HP and tanking abilities. And he has the ability to buff stats from a fairly long range away, and he can even buff himself if you want him to. Being able to raise strength and magic attack, or defense and magic defense, for 3 turns each. That's very good. And being able to have Bulwark at 1 TP means that he can basically always cast something every single turn, which is very, very nice. The only problem is his Cane Sword doesn't have a whole lot of power, and his strength is fairly low, so he usually doesn't deal that much damage, but he's very, very good when you're with very powerful follow-up attackers, such as Eridor or Serenoa, or even Roland in some cases. Just overall, he's a unit that I'm still always learning something new about. Roland, the Spear Knight that became a very full-fledged final battle member of my team, but during the final battle, he didn't know what accuracy was, because he kept missing all of his attacks, it felt like. Now, he is a Spear Knight, like I said before. So similarly to Huette, he has a skill called Knight's Bane. So any sort of unit that has a spear equipped will increase his damage dealt to him. But he also deals additional damage to all cavalry as well, with his own spear. Double Thrust is a really good skill as well. It's a 1-to-1 range attack, while his regular lance has 1-to-2 range. This is a more focused attack on a single enemy. A lance can hit 2 enemies in a straight line as well, so you can technically, in some cases, you can hit 2 enemies at one time with this attack. So that's, with just his standard attack, that's very good. In terms of stats, he's very, very well-rounded. He's got a lot of things going for him. And one of the things that I really like about Roland 2 is his high movement. His high movement really allows him to get around very quickly, and it also allows him to get away from certain classes, like mercenaries that only have 5 move. Assuming that the sword unit doesn't have any sort of ranged attack, he can actually get away from them in some cases. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Serenoa Wolfort, the main character of this game. So Serenoa, there is so many different ways you can use Serenoa. And him being a main character, you would usually think that a lot of his skills are just going to be super overpowered. They're going to be insane. But he actually has a very good combination of offensive abilities, defensive abilities, countering abilities, and supporting abilities. There's basically nothing that Serenoa can't do by the end of the game. There's always a move that you can use with him. There's always a way to utilize his abilities. Everything has a purpose. And honestly, Pursuit Stance is such a good skill. It increases his accuracy and his damage dealt by his follow-up attacks. So basically, if you have him being the follow-up attacker, he will always deal additional damage. This kind of implies like a power of friendship type mechanic, where if he works with other people, he thereby gets stronger by seeing them fight alongside him. This is just... what a great ability. And Delaying Strike can really help in certain instances. If an enemy unit is preparing to attack, you can actually hit them with this, and it will delay their strike. Now, it's weaker than his longsword attack, but delaying their turn means that you can save one of your allies' lives because that enemy can't move quite yet. So that would be really, really good to test out in a future battle. Now, I don't think I have that much money, so I don't see a reason to be stopping by the merchants or anything. I already have 10 HP recovery pellets, and I like these rings, but I'm going to try to save my money for right now and save them for when I really, really need it. The thing that I recommend is spending money on your materials that can thereby upgrade your weapons. So I'm going to be actually buying every single one of these options available to me because they are just that valuable. And I will definitely be going over what I think about these. At the Sundry Shop, you can exchange kudos for items and promote your allies. So, at the trade post, you will be able to buy things that cost something called Quietus points that allow you to be able to use these abilities once per battle, but they don't cost TP or your ally's turn that you activate them on, meaning that any unit will basically be able to use these skills and still be able to not take up their full turn. While medals are used to promote your units, thereby being able to increase their stats and increase their abilities that they can use in battle. Now, I've already used all of mine up to this point because my kudos were fairly high and I just tend to buy everything. But I'm thinking that once per episode, starting in the next episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of history in terms of how this game developed. But I don't want to just overwhelm people with reading right off the bat, so we're not going to do that. Classes. Every unit has a class, and each class is divided into 3 ranks: Recruit, Veteran, and Elite. Promoting a unit will increase both their stats and their maximum TP, and unlock new acquirable abilities. Raising a unit's class changes their appearance in battle as well. You can only promote a unit's class if they are at or above the specified level that you have and that you have the appropriate medal. And it will consume the medal upon activation. So medals of bravery are used to promote at level 10. So we will definitely not be able to do that for a few solid chapters. But that's okay. And at the blacksmith, we can use those items that I was talking about before, like iron and stuff like that, to be able to add weapon rank abilities. So I'm going to go over those in just a moment. Now, all of these abilities cost gold as well, so I can only probably put in one upgrade at this time, but I think I know exactly which one I want. To be fair, I don't think it should shock anyone that I love this skill so much, but it's Frederica's ability called Clear Skies Fire Damage Up. Increases fire damage dealt with clear weather. Basically, any time, and the majority of the time there's clear weather, she deals extra damage. And with Scorch being such a blatantly powerful AoE move, you could be increasing damage to multiple units at the same time. So I will definitely be purchasing this. Alright, so without further hesitation, let's get to that exploration phase, shall we?
I'm honored to have House Wolford fight at our side.
As I am happy to be of service. Now then, what is the situation?
Heisen's excessive salt taxes have given rise to an illicit salt trade that plagues the duchy.
I have heard tell that the tariffs are exorbitant, but I've not heard a price.
Let it suffice to say that the cost of a single handful of salt could feed a family for a month.
Good heavens.
As such, demand for salt, even impure or stolen, is nigh on infinite.
A crime, to be sure, but a necessary evil for the poor. Tight regulation risks drawing their ire.
Perhaps we should not have agreed to this so readily.
Indeed, the Archduke has a sharp mind and a silver tongue.
My brother may appear generous and open-minded, but one should never feel too safe around him.
I was too eager, my lord. And for that, I apologize.
I was the one who agreed. Fraught as the matter is, I could not refuse the Archduke to his face.
Illicit salt trade would threaten the salt revenue on which the duchy depends. Thus, they feel they must intervene, correct?
Precisely. We understand the plight of the people without question. On matters of maintaining order, however, we cannot waver, lest seams in the social fabric be rent asunder.
I understand the circumstances and wish to reiterate that you have our support. How would you employ us?
Our spy has already discovered where the smugglers operate. A transaction is to occur tonight. We shall make a move once our spy lures the smugglers into the open.
Understood. Then we shall familiarize ourselves with the town by nightfall.
I had best get my bearings. Perhaps a walk around the city and the archives is in order. Some merchants are open for business during the exploration phase and may be selling rare items you'll not find at the provisioner in the encampment. It would be wise to speak with any shopkeepers you meet. Alright, now this is what's known as the exploration phase, an ability to run around, find some items, go in people's homes, figure out what needs to be done a little bit more, and gather some items along the way. And some money. That helps too, don't you know? 2 poison recovery pellets. Sometimes the items that you find around here will kind of give you an indication as to what sort of battle is ahead. Maybe unit skills might have something to do with poison, or at a very upcoming battle. I'll take as much salt as this will buy. Aye, that'll get you this much. There you are. Is that all? I could swear it bought more. Costs more to get it now, I'm afraid. This is the best I can do. It definitely seems like Aesfrost is struggling through the impacts of Hyzance. And this is the thing. Hyzan has all the salt at their disposal, and yet this is how they treat people that are far away. Oh, you're conveniently far away, but you live on the same continent as us, and you rely on the same resource? Let's just completely exceed the tax rates on this salt to force them into something that makes their lives a living nightmare. Hyzant is already a rich nation. They have a very rich get richer mindset, and it's just disgusting. I had no idea salt was so expensive. Mind you, I wouldn't call what we pay in Glenbrook cheap, but it's a damn sight less than this. I second that opinion, Mr. Eridor, sir. Sometimes these little snowflakes on the ground are, a recruitment notice? What is this? It was in my notes. Okay. Recruitment notice. In need of miners. Description: excavation work at the Grand Norzelian mines. Hazard wages included. Experience preferred but not required. Now recruiting for the Aesfrost army. Hone yourself into a blade to protect the Grand Duchy. Could you be the next elite member of the Black Irons? Look at them trying to advertise. Ironsmiths wanted. Prerequisite: applicants must have mastery level ironworking skill. Successful hires agreed to keep all work confidential. Wages equal to the level of skill and bonuses are possible. Low risk, high wage position open. As a goods shipment. Same day payment, enough money to feed a family for a year, guaranteed. Wow. That's as crazy sounding as it is making me feel very uneasy, to be honest. Anna, I can't get up to you from that angle, and I can't talk to you from there. The duchy spends a small fortune on salt imports, given the distance. Salt itself is ever more expensive, so they hire guards to protect it. Guards need to be paid. That cost is passed to the people. Everything just loops back to the citizens of this country. It's just sad. It's terrible. What I was going to say before is that sometimes like the little sparkles on the ground mix in with these snowflakes that are constantly drifting across the screen, so I'm not really sure what's an item to examine until something like that comes up. Like, I genuinely didn't even know that was there until I saw the examine button, to be fair. General of Laura's predecessor was a woman as well. She retired after the Salt Iron War, but she was a warrior the likes of which we'd never see again. Until General of Laura took her place, that is. Rumor has it she's the second coming. Oh boy, do I know. Not quite yet, sir. I'm gonna go there in just a moment. I want to see what's up here really quick. Lord Jagan is desperate to make his grand entrance on the political stage. We're desperate for his actions to match his ambition. Not that Thalos will formally recognize him anyhow. Dragan's on the wrong side of a fork in the bloodline 2 generations back. But see, if you're gonna value skill level over your position of your family and your birthright, why would Thalos need to be Prime Minister? Because clearly he's pretty crap at the job, not gonna lie. This path leads to the Ironstone. I cannot let you pass. Yeah, because I've already been there once, my dude. You'll find the ironworks our pride and joy over in the Ironstone. The heat from it is what keeps us going. And the heat is the thing, see? It's what gives our iron the strength it's known for. Yeah, and it's also as dangerous as what it seems, doesn't it? I might as well go over this. A Firestone is basically the ability to cast Scorch, but for any character. It's based on their own magic stat. So some units like Gila will be able to use them pretty well if she doesn't have anyone to heal. She can use some offensive items as well. That's always nice to know. I can just skip across the lava. Nothing dangerous to see here, people. Alright, hi, Sicris. I low-key have a crush on this guy, I'm not gonna lie. I find him very handsome. I have a duty to stamp out the illicit salt trade, no matter how much ire I draw from the people in doing so. What good is the rule of law if I allow this to continue unhindered? The duchy would all but collapse. You're such a good man. People could learn a lot from you. Another firestone buried in a bucket of snow. They'll pay you for as much iron as you can haul out of the mine, but it's not easy money. It comes with a tax paid in sweat and blood. Only in Aesfrost can you go to sleep a pauper and awake richer than a prince. Makes me think there's a lot of competitivity in Aesfrost for that desire to constantly have a position of power and skill, but if you don't have that, then you resort to other methods. The Archduke respects our independence. It is our duty to prove we are worthy of such trust. And a lot of people probably have this mindset because, like Benedict said, Gustav's got a beautiful silver tongue. Proper salt is expensive, yeah? But don't worry, I can save you some money if you like. Yeah, I don't trust that for a second. HP recovery pellet, got plenty of those, but I will always take one. Hello, you beautiful creature, you. Of course you're taking off all the heat into your fur because no one else matters in this household except for you. Oh, the entitlement, the entitled beauty of felines. It will never cease to amaze me. Did you know the Duchy's army has a contingent mounted on hawks? Makes fighting over the mountains easier, see? So we know that they have a hawk riding division. Okay. Similar to Huet, I would imagine. Okay, so I did make some money by finding that money before. Let's see what you have for sale. Large HP recovery pellets, but I already have 3 on hand, and they're gonna I'm gonna take over half my money just to get that. I'm not too concerned about getting the other stones quite yet. But these don't seem awfully expensive, but you know what? I'm probably just gonna buy every other little material that you have. As much as I can buy. Thank you, sir. Yes, I know I don't have any money anymore, but money was made to be spent. The constabulary is conspicuously present. No doubt watching for signs of illegal salt trading. We must tighten security in the city. If we stop even one sale of illicit salt, it'll be worth it. Our spy tells us an illegal sale will take place here this very evening. So this is probably a hint that this is where the battle's going to start. So, because exploration phases usually do take place at the same battlefield that, and I say usually because it's not all the time, but they usually take place at the same map that you're doing the exploration on is where the battle's going to be placed on as well. Let's see if there's anything in this home. I feel so bad, like, feeling like that I'm examining their homes, even though a lot of these people are fighting just to live another day. It's just so sad. Everyone knows that Lord Svarog is Archduke Gustaf's uncle, sure. What they don't know is that he'll never be Archduke, for he's the son of a concubine, so... Well, let's just leave it at that. Okay, I cannot get into this house, can I? Hi, Rudolph. You lovely, lovely man, you. Do you reckon they'll actually pardon me? Guess I'll find out, seeing as I've already agreed to help. I really do like Rudolph. I really, really do. Okay, well, I'm gonna take one more look around, see if I missed anything, and I'll be back just momentarily. Okay, well, I didn't find anything else, so I think without further hesitation, let's proceed to the second half of this map, the Archives. Gonna get to be able to explore this outside of a cutscene. And we will go talk to Frederica before we depart. Sheila! The sheer number of tomes in the Archives can be overwhelming as it is. And yet there are even more that never see the light of day. A collection of tightly restricted works rests beneath the main archives. One needs special disposition to even lay eyes on them. The duchy takes great pains to open wide the gates of knowledge and education. The people are free to pursue their studies as they see fit, and any may rise to prominence on their own merits, regardless of station. This is undoubtedly one of the duchy's strengths. You're telling me, Benedict, you're telling me. A magic ring. Increases magic attack by 1. That is definitely going on Frederica for now. Why would I not want my mage to cast more abilities? And I think we're going to give our HP ring to... Let's give it to Serenoa. He's our main character. Hello, ma'am. The goddess of Salt's teachings tell us that the Roselle must bear the stain of their collective sins from birth. I mean, why? Why? Wait. Must bear the stain of their collective sins? Huh. Salt and meat. What is this? Should I even be reading this? My predecessor once asked me what the most delicious thing in all the realm was. The answer? Salt. Imagine what food would taste like without those little grains of flavor. Then my predecessor asked what the most disgusting thing in all the realm was. The answer? Salt. Imagine what food would taste like under a mountain of the stuff. I recall this conversation every time I make cured meats. Too little salt, and those rich flavors we crave will never develop. Too much, and the result will be nigh inedible. And yet it is one of life's greatest mysteries that curing meats in brine has nothing to do with how salty it will turn out. I am no believer in the goddess's teachings, but I cannot help wondering if perhaps she has some hand in this phenomenon. Another of life's greatest mysteries is how exquisitely a glass of red wine pairs with perfectly salted, sautéed meat and cheese on rye. This man knows how to write a book. With all that flavor text, man. All those beautiful words to make you really etched into that scene. Are you just a person that... Oh no, okay. You'll find no greater example of our ironworking prowess than the armor that adorns the Black Irons. No other nation can match the output of our foundries. We aim to keep it that way. Spoken like a true soldier, I cannot deny him pride in the duchy's achievements. I've no doubt the Black Irons are as formidable as he claims. The might of Aesfrost. Let's read about this in just a moment. Outfitted with armor and weapons forged from the iron their homeland is renowned for, the Grand Duchy's army, dubbed the Black Irons, is a fearful foe. Since success in Aesfrost depends on merit rather than social class, each soldier fights ruthlessly in hopes of advancing their rank. Just as I thought before, it's all a competition. Hello, Roland. Have you heard the story of General of Laura? If the duchy's soldiers are to be believed, she began as a lowly foot soldier and rose all the way to general. Clearly, might and skill carry one quite far in the duchy. I'd wager she's no match for the Dawn Spear, but she's a force to be reckoned with. A lot of people seem to be talking about her. And boy, will we get our chance to see her in action eventually. Marvels of Norzelia Volume 1. We'll read about that later on. Oh, hi. I'm talking to a bookshelf. I've come to study the mining techniques of the Aesfrosti, seeing as we'll be working side by side in the mines. And study I shall. Every tome I've opened has so much to teach me. Good thing, too, seeing as they pride themselves on their mining. I am so sorry. I was, making you think that you were a bookshelf. I'm sorry. May I never again see destruction like that the Salt Iron War unleashed upon Nozelia. It took many moons for the Duchy and the Holy State to rebuild their capitals and domains in the aftermath. I shudder to think what would have become of the continent had Glenbrook not intervened. Yep, me all the same. That terrible war, I think, lasted 30 years? pretty tragic stuff. A children's textbook? This is interesting. I'm curious now. On the condition of salt in Norzelia, what is something that humans absolutely cannot survive without? Yes, that is water and question A. Okay. Water is easy enough to come by. Our realm is crisscrossed by rivers, and it's a simple matter to dig a well. Salt, on the other hand, is exceedingly rare. In all of Norzelia can be found only in question B, located in the vast deserts of Hyzand. All salt is regulated by question C. How much it costs at the market changes depending on how much question D is added, which is figured from factors such as production and manufacturing expenses. So if answer D is salt tax, then it would answer itself and say how much it costs at the market changes depending on how much salt tax is added. That's terrible. Hyzand's abusing the system. They really are. It's just a terrible thing. Talk about them wanting to control the economy or something. Of not just their own land, but other people's as well. Alright, I don't think I talked to you. I used to see a rather eccentric woman in here all the time, but she's not shown her face in many moons now. She was incredibly fond of rocks, as I recall, and intelligent beyond her years. I wonder what became of her. I just want to check these tables because sometimes I do just... Because camera angle in this is like everything. You could end up missing something simply by you missing a camera angle. Alright. So now let's talk to this other scholar as he has this green exclamation mark above his head. It's kind of tradition to me that I want to talk to them last. All of us are researchers, yes. Ah, but what sort? And what truths do we pursue, Ask and you may not find a common answer among us. Some shift focus as it suits the army. Others pursue a single academic thread for decades. Tell me, as someone not of the duchy, how would you use such a collection of finely honed intellects? Research leads to wisdom that lasts for generations. All of it's worthwhile. Knowledge should not be a vehicle for fame and fortune. All should be free to study what they please. I ask you in response, what joy is there in study that does not benefit the nation? I don't think that he's saying this from fame or fortune. I think that he genuinely just says that this archive is just known that people can study whatever the heck they want as long as it benefits the duchy as well. And they are all free to study what they please as long as they show skill with it. So I want to say this. This I believe as Lord of my domain. I expected no less from the Lord of the most famous high house in all of Glenbrook. You speak your mind where few others would dare. You're quite right, good sir. Absent unfettered research, I doubt our forebears would have blessed us with the gift of the foundries. May I be so lucky as to repay my debt to them with an equally worthy contribution to our great society. I always like when the NPCs agree with me. It sends it sends all good butterflies down my stomach. It's so nice. It just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Alright, and last but certainly not least, I'm not going to forget about my bride-to-be, Frederica. How are you finding the duchy, Serenoa? Has anything about our way of life caught your attention? The advantages that ironmongering affords the duchy are quite evident. For all the freedom you enjoy, I cannot help but notice the poverty of the people. I admire your commitment to education. Is it true that any and all may make use of the archives? I believe this to be true other than that locked segment, so I don't think I really need to go too much in depth here. But it's very true. We did notice the poverty of the people. These people are struggling, and it's really just Hyzand that's to blame. I shan't deny it. Many of them say the salt tariffs drove them to ruin. Building our society around iron mining and smelting has made us mighty, but not invulnerable. Our people are not guaranteed to find work at high wages. For example, we grant the freedom of opportunity, not success. Freedom and meritocracy do not easily mix, I see. All right, and on that note, we make way to the scene that will commence afterward. Let's end this exploration. I believe I have the lay of the land now. I should make my way back to Sir Sicris and await nightfall. Alright guys, we have a battle upon us. I'm going to be preparing for this off screen, but I'm very, very excited because I really want to train my units and see this first battle on this route and see how it goes. This is not my first time doing this map, but I'm just going to say it's pretty much like I'm going in blind because I have not played this game, even my off-screen playthrough, in a long time. So you could say it's like partially blind of a playthrough. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next episode on the battlefield. This was Skymer, and I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. Bye, guys!